Um, Hi, hello. Welcome back to another edition of the Raw Gray Matter. Um, this one we're gonna start the Astavakra Astavakra Samhita. I still have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correct, but I'm not a professional in pronunciation, shit like that. So it is what it is. Just gonna do the best with what we got. Um, but I think it's taken me a long time to do this because I don't know how to approach it because this is inherently a type of religious text, right? And I don't ever want to come across as preachy or like when I'm like reading it and like giving my thoughts, I don't be like, oh, this is how I think you what it's telling you how to live your life. Because I think that's like the major downfall of like major religions is like people, right? We're meant to fuck up, right? We're not perfect, and so nobody should try to regard themselves as such, right? And like people that are typically seen as like in that role are like seen as like, you know, infallible, right? They're like the 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 speakers of God's word or, whatever that may be. It doesn't have to be the floating man in the beard, it could be whatever. I don't want to do that at all because this authority is the bane of my existence. Um, so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the full section, whatever the part that I'm gonna read, and then I'm gonna go back and like, cause I've already like I've read it twice, right? I read it one time, read it again, highlighted shit, and now I'm gonna reread it again. So I'm gonna read the passage, and then you, as the viewer, please stop the video, form your own conclusion, if you so feel like it, right? Like come with your own thoughts and ideas before I go into like my things, right? And so then we could have like a discussion about it if so, you know what I mean? Like don't take my word as the only word, right? Like you it's okay to have your own interpretation of it. You're supposed to. I think to some varying degree. As long as we can agree on the overall truth, overall. Not a super great start to the J, but it's okay. We'll live. But yeah, I'm kind of nervous too because words in this be hard. Some of them for sure. So I'm gonna do my best. No promises. Um, and if anything, like this is just me encouraging you to go do it yourself, like to look into it yourself. Like this is just this is just stepping stone. You know, this is just to get you started on your path. But all right, we're gonna start from the very beginning, like translator's preface, type B, right? All right, the Astavakara Samhita or Astavakara Gita, as it is sometimes called, is a short treatise. Treat. I don't know. It made sense. I know what it means, right? It's like a short, like kind of like story type thing. It's like a just like a part of it. On Advaita Vedanta, ascribed to a great sage, Astavakara. Written in Sanskrit, it consists of a dialogue between Astavakara and his disciple Yanka. Who these two were, however, is not known. There is a story in the Mahabharata which mentions Astavakara and Yanka. It is found in chapters 132 through 34 of the Manavavaran. And please, Google this shit. Astavakra's parents were named Kahor and Sahita. One day, when Astavakra was still in his mother's womb, Kahor was sitting beside his wife and reciting the Vedas. To their great surprise, the child in the womb suddenly cried out, "Father!" Though, oh, through your grace, I have already learnt all the Vedas, even lying in my mother's womb. But I am sorry to say that you often make mistakes in your rec- recitation. Recitation. It's like reciting, right? But recitation. You know what I mean? Kahor took this as a grave insult and cursed his son, saying that he would be born with 8 parts of his body deformed. Accordingly, in due course, the child was born with a twisted form and was named Astavakra, which means 8 curved. Kahor went one day to the court of Yanka to beg money from the king. The king had at that time at his court a great scholar named Vandin, who was the son of King Verna. Vandin was profoundly versed in the Vedas, and Kahor was called upon to debate with him. Kahor was defeated, and as a result, he was sent into the depths of the sea, there to be engaged as a priest taking part in a sacrifice performed by Varuna. Time passed, and when Astavakra was a lad of 12, he heard of the sad plight of his father. Accompanied by his maternal uncle Savakatu, Astavakra went to the court of King Yanka. Being a mere boy, he was not at first allowed entrance into the court, but when he gave proof of his extraordinary knowledge of the sastras, he was cordially welcomed. At once he sought out his father's opponent Vandin and entered into a debate with him. A most remarkable controversy ensued, and the boy of 12 defeated the foremost scholar of the court of Yanka. He then rescued his father from the grip of Varuna. Kahor was very pleased at his son's achievement and wished to withdraw the curse he had put on him before his birth. He therefore told he therefore told Astavakra to go and bathe in the river Samanga. Astavakra did so, and lo, he came out of the river with all his limbs made straight, but his name continued the same forever. Coming to modern times, it is interesting to find that this ancient classic, the Astavakra Samhita, played a rather important part of the early life of Swami Vivekananda when he first made the acquaintance of Sri Ramakrishna, maybe, I don't know. He was in the intimate touch with the Brahos Samaj and was under the influence of its ideas and teachings. At that time, he would not believe in Advaita. But at their very first meeting, Sri Ramakrishna had seen into his innermost being and had found that the Swami was preeminently monistic in temperament, and in this he was unique among his disciples. But at that time, the Swami was so unconscious of this, and so naturally, he resisted many monistic teachings from his masters. But Sri Ramakrishna found a way to overcome this difficulty. He had in his room a copy of the Astavakra Samhita, and very often he would ask the Swami to read it to him. After reading a verse or two, the Swami would refuse to proceed further, but the master would induce him to read on by saying that he was not insisting on his accepting this teaching, but only asking him to read it out to him. In this way, this book came to have in this way this book came to have a great influence on his life. He laid great emphasis on Advaita and often declared that it would become the future religion of mankind. Reading's hard. Everybody likes to give fucking, Floyd Mayweather shit, with the memes, like read a, chapter of Cat and Hat out loud and not stumble. It sounds easy and all until you're like doing it like under pressure. Reading gets fucking, or like you can read in your head, but reading it out loud, that shit is tough. That's what I'm learning from this experience right now. But it's good. brings a new understanding of the information for me, I guess, right? All right. This translation of the Astavakra Samhita was first published in Parabuddha Bharata month by month from January 1929 to December 1931. It was revised and published in book form in 1940, a second edition appearing in 1953. In the present edition, both the English translation and the notes have been thoroughly revised with many additions and alterations. Considerable improvement has thus been effected. The text is more easily comprehensible and the notes bring out more clearly the central teaching of Astavakra. Earlier, this English rendering had appeared in conjunction with the Canary script published in 1932 from the palace of Mahara of Mysore. A second edition of this Canary's version was published in 1936. We shall always feel indebted to Mr. V. Subramania Iyer, sometime Register of the Mysore University, who took a keen interest in this work and wrote an introduction for the Cairney's version. He also went through the whole work in its earliest phase, making valuable suggestions for its improvement. Dr. Satkari Mukherjee, God, I fuck up everybody's name. I'm sorry. Who has kindly written the introduction to this book, was formerly a Stoosh professor of Sanskrit at the University of Calcutta. He is well known in India and abroad for his deep and outstanding scholarship in the different branches of Sanskrit learning, Pali, and Indian philosophy, including Buddhism and Jainism. We offer him our deepest gratitude for the sincere interest he has taken in this publication, going through the whole work very minutely and writing his most learned introduction. And that's from June 1969, Nidhi Swaparanda. I wish I could say the names. Like, the words, like, I know they're English word, like letters, right? Like, I recognize that it's the alphabet. Like, I know that's an N. I know that's a I, and I know it's a T and a Y. And I know what letters there's like sounds the letters are supposed to make. But it just doesn't make any sense because I don't understand it. And please, if somebody understands Sanskrit, somebody from India could teach me this, would love that. Would be big dreams made, you know? Because I'd like to read all the original like texts in the original languages myself personally. Because until you've done the research yourself, you can't trust it. You know, big believer in that. Like trust but verify. Like like once you find the truth, right? Like you believe the truth, that you want to believe it's the truth, but until you verify for yourself and you have that experience, you never really know. But you just use the information that you've like learned, right, from like past lessons or from like other people telling you lessons, and you just use that to make it the best experience possible. And then once you've had the experience, right, then you decide like whether to continue or not. And it's fucking brick out here. I mean, it's definitely warmer than what it was earlier today when I was at work, but still a bit chilly. Fucking winter's gonna be here before you know it. It's gonna be fucking snow everywhere. Decided to go snowboarding though. Super stoked, honestly. Tell you what. Um. All right, so that was just the preface, pretty much, right? Um. And the takeaways that I got from that, my highlights was the part that this is in the Mahabharata, right? Because that's like a known text, like that's got some clout, like that's got some validity in the circles, right? And like their names are in that, so that proves that they were existing, right? And so like even though like we don't know exactly who these two people are, they're like in the culture, like in the story already. So like even though we don't like know necessarily that this happened, like we can be like maybe it's got themes, it's got continuity, it's maybe like right. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Like that, and there's a fucking and saying there's a truth in every joke. Both them. I forgot what I was fucking saying. Fuck. What was it? All right. Back to the task at hand. And then the next section is this whole bottom thing, which was like talking about like when it was like first published. Like this translation is OG. You know what I mean? Like some of them as OG as it gets, I guess. And like it's put together with love and deep respect for like learning. You know what I mean? Like it was taken seriously, and it was like done back in the day when like people were committed to the craft instead of committed to the money. I mean, that was still happening back then. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as prevalent. I, in my opinion, right? Could be wrong. Shit, most of the time I hope I am wrong, but I just haven't come across information to prove myself wrong yet. So until then, keep on keeping on. Um, I guess that's probably all I'm gonna do for this one. I'm not gonna get into the introduction because the introduction's a fucking it's it's a bit of a bop, and I do have thoughts on that, like some like in-depth thoughts. Like this was just kind of like introduction, warming the tub up. We dipped the toe in to see how the temperature is, and it's good, so we about to hop in. You know what I mean? We'll get deeper in there next time. Um, but yeah, this was kind of like I was nervous for this, and I was like nervous to make a video again too, a little bit. And I was like procrastinating, but like, oh, it's cold. I don't want to go outside and do it because I don't really want to film it inside because it's just not the vibe, as much. Like, love being outside. Wish I had a balcony, gangster. But then I'd probably smoke a lot more because it'd be a lot more accessible instead of having to fucking walk outside. But, um, read this new book. Um, nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are. Read it in the by the time I got home from work, right at like 4:35. Read it till 9:30. Went to bed, woke up, and then started reading it again at like 10, like after like doing my things, and then finished it by 12:30 because I had a talk with him at 1 o'clock. I wanted to finish it before I talked to him, and it was a good conversation. We're on the same wave. He's an older gentleman, but he is young at heart. He's caught a vibe for sure, and God, when it goes out, it tastes so gnarly. Um, shitty, shitty pack job on this one. What can you do? It was a good conversation. Um, it was the things in his book. I'm very excited to incorporate into life, and like having the opportunity to like actually work with him one on one. He's gonna be really cool. I'm gonna learn a lot, and yeah, and I'm really excited to get his take on some of my thoughts that I've had about life, and then like not pertaining to his work that I know it. Kind of like it's only one read through. Then I have to do it again um, at some point here soon. And this is a kind of long one. Sorry, but these type of videos are probably going to be longer. I want to be able to get into some shit. And if you guys fucking comment some things, I would definitely respond to them in the next video. I guess. I feel like a cornball saying that, but it's true. Like I just want to interact. Like I just want to talk to people about this shit. Like I'm so excited. Geeked, jazzed. Ah, she's hot. And um, I hope you have a fantastic time until I see you next. I look forward to it.